Angel's Egg is a post-apocalyptic dark fantasy with a narrative structure that I would describe as avant-garde. It takes place on an island in the middle of a vast ocean which contains the ruins of some kind of Gothic civilization. And the story follows the journey of a young girl who carries a large egg under her dress for reasons that are unclear for most of the movie. All we really know is she's got this egg, she wanders alone, and she's constantly foraging for water. And during this girl's journey, she suddenly bumps into a man who seems to have been looking for her. And though the girl initially tries to escape this man, he pursues her. He will not leave the girl's side, and he also won't reveal who he is, what his intentions are, how long he'll be following this girl, or why he's following her in the first place. The girl is simply forced to deal with this man's companionship, but she does ask that he not destroy her egg, to which of course the man responds only with silence. He never reveals his intentions. And though this initially disturbs the girl, after a little bit of time, once the man proves to be non-violent, she begins to take comfort in his company and even begins to trust him, and she begins to let her guard down in his presence. And then one day, as she falls asleep, she forgets to protect her egg properly because she has come to trust this man so much. And then the man, seeing that she has let her guard down, takes the egg for himself and he destroys it. And that is the basic plot of Angel's Egg. I've definitely skipped over a lot of details that are very interesting, but this is the primary narrative thread as I interpret it, and I want to ask two questions about it. What is this egg that the girl is carrying with her, and why does the man destroy it? Well, I actually think that the movie supplies two different answers to these questions, two conflicting answers, and I want to tell you about them. The first answer comes from the 38-minute mark, where the man tells the girl a story about a giant and terrible demonic kind of tree that once existed in the distant past. This tree sucked the life from the ground with its roots, and it used that energy to grow. And the tree grew with a purpose. It was reaching toward the sky in order to grasp something, and that thing that it was trying to grasp was an egg, and the egg contained a giant sleeping bird. And there is a strong implication in this story that this giant bird is a very evil thing, as it constitutes the object of the evil tree's will, the thing that the tree is trying to obtain and awaken as it devours all life below and reaches toward the sky. And there is another implication that this bird, this evil thing sleeping inside an egg, is actually the very bird inside of the egg that the girl is carrying with her. And so on this interpretation, the reason why the man is following the girl throughout the movie and seeking to destroy her egg is because the egg represents some kind of evil apocalyptic omen. But there is actually an entirely different interpretation that you could give to this egg, and it's based on some dialogue that begins around the 41-minute mark. In this scene, the man tells a story that initially bears a striking resemblance to the story of Noah's Ark. Although as he goes on, he starts to make some changes to the story of Noah's Ark before you realize that he actually isn't talking about that story at all. He's not even talking about the book of Genesis. To the viewer, the story that he's telling looks very similar, but from his point of view, he is simply describing a story about something that happened inside of his own world and to which he bore witness. And here is the story that he tells us. In the beginning, God created the world, but he came to regret this creation, and so he wiped everything away with 40 days of flooding rains, and every living thing perished except for a small few who found refuge on a great ark. And when these 40 days had passed, those who remained on the ark released a dove into the air in order that it should scout the waters to discover if the flood had subsided and if there was any land to which they could now journey and start their lives over. But the dove never returned, and the waters never subsided, and the land never appeared. And so they continued to wait for the dove, because what else could they do? But time continued to pass with no word from the dove, and eventually so much time had passed that the residents of the ark forgot about this dove. They forgot it even existed. And they even forgot about the flood. They forgot that there was once a whole civilization that was plunged beneath the ocean's surface. And time continued to pass. And finally, every animal aboard the ark began to turn to stone. And the humans who still survived, they came to believe that this ark is the only reality that had ever existed. These stone animals, the only things that had ever existed. Or if these survivors did remember a past before all life had turned to stone, it was like remembering a dream that might have happened once in the past. But was it actually real? There was no one that could say, because how could you tell? And that was the condition in which these survivors were doomed to live forevermore. And indeed, the very man who was telling this story to the girl who carries the egg, that was his condition as well because he was on this ark. For he himself was Noah. And when this man, who is apparently Noah, finishes telling his story, the girl who carries the egg responds with a curious observation. Remember that dove that the survivors of the ark released when the flooding had come to an end? She knows where it is. It is nearby. And she takes the man to show it to him. And she brings him to a creature that has turned to stone. It has become a fossil. And though it is clearly a winged creature, the man can see and the viewer can see that it is no dove. It is a monster with wings. But the girl simply does not know what a dove is. And then she tells the man that this creature is going to be reborn because it lives inside of her egg. And that is the entire reason why this girl carries this egg with her and why she cares for it. And so we learn from this revelation what the egg means to the girl. It is a kind of symbol of hope. And when the egg finally hatches, she believes that a friendly creature will emerge. A dove that will scout the horizons on her behalf and which will help humanity start its life over after God's great flood. But this is not what the man sees in the egg. All he sees is a monster. And indeed, this monster was part of the story of the life-devouring tree that I mentioned just a few minutes ago. And as you will remember, this tree existed in an ancient past, and it was trying to reach high into the sky so as to obtain a giant bird that sleeps inside of an egg, which promised to bring some great evil into the world. And that is the ultimate reason why the man destroys the egg. He believes that he is destroying some great evil, but that is not what the girl believes. As far as the girl was concerned, this egg contained a dove, a symbol of hope and of peace that would give rise to a new and happy future, both for herself and for humanity. And as far as she could tell, this man who acted as her trusted companion, he destroyed that future.